following is a presentation of HBO Sports.
A boxing prospect's rise to stardom cannot be completed without a signature win. Tonight, that chance arrives for two of the sport's brightest young fighters.
Good right hand by Bradley. Uppercut knocked down Urango.
Devon Alexander, 23 years old, 21-0. The slick southpaw from the St. Louis streets has defied the odds with his pure boxing ability. Timothy Bradley, 27 years old, 26-0. The Palm Springs pressure fighter, known for simply outworking his overmatched opponents. Both have a combination of quickness and hunger that has vaulted them toward the top of the stacked 140-pound charts. In their journey from junior welterweight contenders to world titleists, Alexander and Bradley now find one thing standing in their way: each other.
I want Bradley next. You keep talking that he the best in the division. I want him next.
Any of the top guys out there, especially you, Devon Alexander, I'll fight you next.
Tonight, their desire to battle each other is fulfilled. Youth versus youth, speed against speed. Two undefeated Americans vying for 140-pound superiority, each in search of a defining win and yearning to be called the best, with only one about to emerge victorious. Alexander versus Bradley, World Championship Boxing, next. For the first time in 2011, World Championship Boxing is back. We're in the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, about a 30-minute drive from downtown Detroit, where tonight you'll see a much-anticipated matchup, a unification bout between undefeated American fighters Devon Alexander and Timothy Bradley. They'll meet for supremacy in the loaded, heavily talented 140-pound weight class. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We welcome you to this special one-fight edition of HBO's World Championship Boxing. The fight stands alone tonight because it's such a significant occasion. Only the third time in this century that two unbeaten American stars have met for divisional supremacy in a given weight class, this time the junior welterweight class. Let's turn to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant for more on the significance of the fight. Larry, this is the largest contingent of ringside media, most notably print reporters, that we've seen for an HBO event in the United States in quite some time. There's a look at the turnout of media for the weigh-in here in the Silverdome yesterday. An extraordinary gathering which shows that more American media outlets have chosen to cover this fight than has been the case for a while. Now, boxing fans don't seem as aware of the significance of Bradley and Alexander. Why are all those other media types, and why are we so excited about the fight?
Because we know best.
As usual.
Or we're just happily delusional. Because even at a time when it seems that every heavyweight is playing linebacker, we're certain that it's inevitable that an elite, popular American fighters will show up. Alexander, Bradley, we're here to start finding out. We're here in Pontiac, Michigan, Jim, where incidentally, they never made Pontiacs.
Well, but they did help to make Emanuel Stewart, who began the process in West Virginia and eventually moved here to get into the auto factories, and you know the rest of the story, the legendary Kronk, Jim, etc. Now he works with us. Emanuel, I talked about the significance of the fight. Does it remind you of anything in your own distant past?
Yes, Jim. It's a miniature Hearns Leonard. But the difference is Hearns was already a big star and had a following when they fought. Leonard was a star when they fought, and that is a big difference. But still, it's two fighters in their prime, multiple skill, can punch, box, great amateur backgrounds. It's just going to be a great fight. And it's one of the few fights that I myself can pick. I'm all excited about it. And normally, you know, I love knockouts. This is one of the few fights that I'm excited about it, even if it goes 12 rounds. In fact, I'm looking to enjoy 12 rounds of beautiful boxing tonight.
Most people seem to figure there will be 12 rounds of intensity. I mentioned it's the third time that two undefeated Americans have met atop a weight class in this century. The first, January 20, 2001, when Diego Corrales and Floyd Mayweather met, a tremendous triumph for Mayweather. And then September 29, 2007, Kelly Pavlik and Jermaine Taylor was still unbeaten and middleweight champion when they met in Atlantic City. An incredible fireworks fight elevated both fighters. Let's hope that Alexander and Bradley can provide some semblance of the excitement we got that night in the middleweight division from Taylor and Pavlik. Both fighters have gotten here by extraordinary individual determination. They have risen above difficult circumstances. They are the best kind of boxing archetypes. Let's take a look at the paths by which Bradley and Alexander have come together.
Why is this fight a good fight for boxing? Because you got two guys, two young guys in their prime willing to fight.
Good right hand by Bradley.
Nowadays, you don't get two undefeated fighters in the ring in their prime to fight each other. That just doesn't happen.
Uppercut knocked down Urango.
These are two of the best fighters in the 140-pound weight class. They're undefeated. They're both American. We haven't had that kind of fight in a long time in boxing.
What I like about Timothy Bradley as a fighter is he's just going to keep coming at you and he's going to wear you down. He is the kind of irresistible force. Devon Alexander has that kind of natural, innate ability. He has that terrific hand speed. He has those beautiful combinations.
Not only is this big for Devon and Tim, but this is huge for boxing, the fans, you know. They're stepping up to the plate, and they're giving boxing a big fight.
Tim Bradley and Devon Alexander are mirror images in many ways. Both are unbeaten young champions. Both used boxing as a means of escape. Bradley from the North Palm Springs ghetto, and Alexander from the streets of St. Louis. But for all their similarities, they are two very different individuals.
All that shit you've been talking about I'm a coward, that I'm soft, that I won't step up for the challenge.
When Timmy and Devon had the press conference in New York to promote this fight, you had Timmy barking at him a little bit, and Devon was just kind of sitting there with a smile on his face going, you know, what shucks, you know, whatever, you know, taking it like a joke.
I'm going to make you feel it.
Make me feel it.
Yeah.
I mean, I smiled it off. This is a business, you know, and I understand that. I never like to argue. I never like to be around a crowd of people that's, you know, doing bad stuff. I just was never like that.
To have grown up in North St. Louis, one of the toughest ghettos in America, where it's killing, robbing, drug dealing 24/7 without getting yourself involved in one street confrontation, that says something about your character.
For Alexander, one of 13 children, that character is shaped by a tight-knit family and by longtime trainer Kevin Cunningham. And it was molded by his father, Lamar Jackson.
My dad always taught me to stay humble and don't get big-headed. So he drilled that into me, and I think that played a big part of my life.
Devon's relationship with my father was a great relationship, man. Him and Devon held a real close bond.
In 2004, Alexander's world was shaken with the news that his father was stricken with cancer. He passed away later in the year.
One day he brought me and my brother Lamar into the room and said that he was dying, and he had cancer all through his body. So that was the worst feeling of my life.
Your dad is like Superman, you know. But you know, he told me and Devon, you know, that, you know, just be strong, man. We gonna fight to the end. We gonna, you know, and he did that.
He taught us how to be a man. He just taught us some very important life lessons that I remember, and it's still sticking with me to this day.
Those life lessons have helped propel Alexander to a championship and acclaim as one of boxing's rising stars. He prepared for the biggest fight of his career in Las Vegas, 1,500 miles west of his hometown of St. Louis.
Peaceful, no ruckus, no distractions. I got my brother here, Kevin here. So we just focus.
We want to get away from family and friends, any type of hometown distractions, and be somewhere where we can have some seclusion and just focused on getting ready for the biggest fight of Devon's career.
Unlike his opponent, Tim Bradley prefers the comforts of home in Palm Springs, where he lives with his wife and 2 stepchildren. The routine has produced results. He's unbeaten and one of the best conditioned athletes in the sport.
I train at home because, you know, my family's here, and, you know, they keep me inspired and just keep me hungry and just continue on my quest.
He has that mentality that if you don't work hard, there's always a little doubt. So he pushes his limits so that there's no doubt.
Bradley's days were like most boxers, morning runs, followed by strength work and endless hours in the gym. But at the end of each day, he made a routine transformation from fighter to everyday father.
I'm gonna go pick up my kids from school. They're part of everyday routine. What up?
He's the Laker guy.
What's up, mama? What's going on, baby? Oh, these are my babies I gotta pick up, you know? Like, there's nothing hard about that. It's simple. I love it. I love it. I wouldn't change it. All right, dudes. Let's roll. It didn't mean everything to me. They're the reason why I get up in the morning and work hard and go to the gym.
Soon, Tim and his wife Monica will have their first child together, welcoming a new member to the Bradley clan.
You know what? I've been waiting on this my whole life, man. I've always wanted a little seed around, man. Some, you know, a little baby, and I'm ecstatic. You know, it's a new chapter that we open in our lives now. You know, I got a picture of the ultrasound in my vehicle. Yeah, man. You see that big old head? That's a Bradley right there, man. Hoping it's a boy, but, you know, if it's a girl, hey, she's gonna be the next something. You know, it's my first baby, you know, actual biological baby. But, you know, I just keep it here for inspiration, man. I'm a motivated guy, you know, I'm highly motivated, but, you know, this is just an adding factor. There's a lot of pressure riding on this fight. There's a lot of pressure that I'm feeling right now, too. So he's 23 years old. I don't think this kid's ready.
They think they saw everything that I got. No way. The best is yet to come, and Bradley's going to see that January 29th.
You know, you got 2 guys training for months for one another, and just putting all this heart and passion, blood, sweat, and tears into this one fight. And they come together on one night, man, and winner takes all.
Before becoming the world's most decorated 23-year-old professional fighter, Devon Alexander had a sensational amateur career. Reportedly 310 fights, 298 wins, only 12 losses. Timothy Bradley also had an amateur career, but in no way was it as decorated or as glorious as that of Alexander. He can't even remember what his amateur record was, and has now dramatically outdistanced all expectations for him as a professional. And partially as the result of their rises, we mentioned that the 140-pound weight class is as talented and loaded as any weight class in boxing. Larry, take us through the neighborhood.
We could see a round robin and more among these fighters. Khan, who won a silver medal at the age of 17, is a very big attraction in Britain. And Maidana, who I call Kid Cojones, is the warrior of the group.
Indeed, the 2 guys at the bottom of that graphic, Khan and Maidana, met December 11 on our last HBO World Championship boxing show. A tremendous seesaw battle in which Khan scored an early knockdown, dominated Maidana through most of the fight. Then Maidana almost knocked Khan out in the 10th round. Amir survived. What chance that Bradley and Alexander can duplicate that kind of excitement?
We always want a wow, Jim. Sometimes we get a bow wow. That's a dog. More often we get something better than that between a bow and a wow. And anything is possible with Bradley and Alexander because they're both basically boxers. But they also want to be great men, have great, fierce fighting spirits. Trainers often tell their fighters, tonight, just win. You'll look great the next time. This is the next time for Bradley and Alexander.
A big night for both of them, a big night for us as we kick off the year. If you've listened to our fight calls in recent years, you probably noted how extraordinarily prescient Emanuel Stewart has been from time to time in envisioning what will happen in the fight before it happens. So tell us how you expect things to go tonight.
Well, Jim, I think in the very beginning, the greater hand speed of Alexander is going to be a big factor. I think he's a little bit faster, and he will take a slight edge as the fight goes on. I believe, realizing that he's falling behind, Bradley is going to step it up a little bit. And I think the last half of the fight, out of the last quarter, is going to be a very exciting fight going down the stretch. And therefore, using most of these cases, in these type fights, the faster fighter with the faster hands usually pulls it out. But this is not a normal fight because Bradley is an extremely strong-minded person, very consistent.
Most experts are expecting 12 rounds of intensity. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. 4-year age advantage for Alexander, who's extraordinarily precocious. He also has a 2-inch height advantage, and he's a southpaw. Bradley is a conventional fighter. They weighed in either at the 140-pound limit, Alexander, or a half-pound under, Timothy Bradley. Tonight, Bradley has rehydrated up to 148. Alexander will go into the ring with a functional 4-pound weight advantage at 152. Because both fighters hold legitimate titles, they had to hold a coin toss yesterday to determine which of the two fighters would be introduced first, which of the two fighters would walk first, etc. And here was the coin toss.
Heads, we won. What do you want to do? That's just the beginning. What do you want to do?
And so, having won the toss, you now know that Devon Alexander chose to walk second to the ring and be introduced first. So here comes Timothy Bradley. I mentioned the glorious amateur career of Devon Alexander. What is it about Bradley that you saw as an amateur which has gotten him this far, Emanuel?
Bradley was very much like he is as a professional. The only difference was, as an amateur, the fights was like 3 rounds or 4 rounds, and when the fights was ended, he was usually just starting to win his fights. And that's why I knew he would be a better professional fighter than as he was as an amateur. In fact, he won a lot of tournaments, but sometimes going down the stretch of those, the bigger tournaments, he would barely lose out sometimes to guys who were just a little bit faster, and he never could catch up with them. But that's what's made him a better professional, because they're fighting 10 and 12 round fights now.
Since this is the old home of the Detroit Lions, even before then, they had a quarterback, a memorable one named Bobby Lane, of whom it was said he never lost, he just ran out of time. Sounds like Bradley to me. And if you're wondering why are we here, well, boxing has often been a traveling circus. It landed in Pontiac, Michigan this time.
Timothy Bradley has extraordinary self-confidence and self-possession. Some see that as a potential advantage for him in the fight. He has also proven extremely adept at making adjustments over the course of a long fight. Sometimes he's able to adjust on his own without even getting an instruction from trainer Joel Diaz. Now, here comes Devon Alexander. And Emanuel, I mentioned the extraordinary amateur career. What were the skills that set him apart from everybody else?
Alexander was a very flashy. I mean, when you see him in a tournament, you automatically, your eyes focus on it because of his movements, twist punches, and you know where Bradley was just opposite. You didn't notice him as quick. But as the fights progressed and he kept winning tournament after tournament, you realize that this was an extremely talented fighter. And if it hadn't been for the age factor, if I remember correctly, Alexander would have probably definitely been very strong on the 2004 Olympic teams.
And nobody does this alone, Larry. His trainer, Kevin Cunningham, is a great American urban hero.
He's one of those neighborhood saints, a former policeman who saw lives being destroyed on the streets and started a boxing program. He started it with 30 young men, including Alexander. 2/3 of them wound up dead or in prison. He called it a black hole, that neighborhood, but here's somebody who emerged from it.
Some say there's a dark side for Alexander in this fight, which was exposed in his last outing against Andrei Kotelnik. Kotelnik was able to paint Alexander with right hands down the stretch of that fight. He says he was distracted, it was an off night, it won't happen again. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Silver Dome, Pontiac, Michigan, where tonight Gary Shaw Promotions and Don King Productions, in association with the fabulous Silver Dome Pontiac and Thompson Boxing Promotions, are proud to present the Super Fight, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO, Junior Welterweight and WBC Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by Corona in the center of the ring, Corona en el centro del ring, AT&T, America's fastest mobile network, period, and Latvis Limousine, service to the stars. Sanctioned by the Michigan Unarmed Combat Commission, Chairman Dr. James Weber, Vice Chairman Wolfgang Mueller, Esquire. WBC President Jose Suleiman, Supervisor at ringside Mauricio Suleiman. WBO President Francisco Paco Barcarcel. This bout is dedicated to the memory of Edward Weber and WBC board member from Nigeria, Prince Adoboye. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this bout will be from Nevada, Dwayne Ford, from Ohio, Tom Miller, and from Mexico, Omar Mintun. And inside the ring, in charge of the action, World Championship veteran from Michigan, referee Frank Garza. And now, for the thousands in attendance here at the Silverdome in Pontiac, and the millions watching around the world on HBO, 2 undefeated champions. Somebody's has got to go. Let's get ready to rumble! Brundage. And introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with red, official weight 140 pounds, a perfect professional record with 21 fights, 21 victories, including 13 KOs. From St. Louis, Missouri, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC Super Lightweight Champion of the World, Devon Alexander the Great. Fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue, officially weighing 139 1/2 pounds. Also, a perfect professional record consisting of 26 fights, 26 victories, including 11 knockouts, from North Palm Springs, California. He's the reigning, defending, undefeated WBO Junior Lightweight Champion of the World, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley.
Let me see your gloves. Let's go, guys. Got your mouthpieces?
Yeah, they're in the...
Okay,
go, guys.
how you feeling?
Go,
okay, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
We gotta get the ring cleared out first. You can step them back. We gotta get the ring cleared out first.
Let's go.
I gotta get the ring cleared first.
Let's go, guys. They already did the rules. They already did them.
Already did it. Gotta leave the ring. Gotta leave the ring. Thank you, Mike.
Amen.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, guys, center of the ring. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. We want a good, clean bout. Welcome to Michigan. This is for all the marbles. Touch them up. Come out at the bell. God bless you.
When I asked them whether they'd rather be Pacquiao or Mayweather in the ring, both paid respects to Mayweather's skills. Both said they'd rather be Pacquiao. From their lips to our eyes.
Well, maybe they were thinking of one footnote. Amid the crazy quilt of titles and belts and distinctions which massively and relentlessly confuse boxing fans, the linear champion of this division is Manny Pacquiao. He won it from Ricky Hatton a couple of years ago. It now appears Manny Pacquiao will never fight at 140 pounds again. So if that's the expectation, whoever wins this fight tonight stands alone. It begins with Bradley jabbing and Alexander blocking that jab with his right hand. Body shot with the right hand by Tim Bradley.
Okay, let him go. Watch your feet, guys.
Now, as Bradley comes forward and begins to try to attack Alexander, Emmanuel, one thing to look for, which Alexander's trainer Kevin Cunningham made a big point of before the fight, headbutts. Bradley has a habit of being involved in accidental headbutt incidents.
Yeah, even though they are accidental, and I do believe that, but it's maybe just in part of his style that he ends up butting people, and usually he ends up coming out on the better side of it without getting cut. But the fight here, to get back to that, the fight is going pretty much as I expected. Alexander very fast. Both guys are very intent. I think that Bradley's trying to gradually get to him and start banging him to the body. That's what he's intending to do.
And they almost had a headbutt right
had a
there.
headbutt there.
Yeah, before we leave the subject, let me just point out that in 4 previous fights that we can document, Bradley opponents wound up with cuts as the result of accidental butts. And he's never been penalized for it. High intensity first round. One expert yesterday established for me an expectation, Emmanuel. The first 4 rounds will be a boxing match. The middle 4 rounds will be a more intense, fierier, more dangerous boxing match. The last 4 rounds will be a fight.
Well, I think that's going to happen. Both of these guys, even though Alexander's faster with his hands, he's made it very clear he doesn't use his foot speed, so to speak. He say, I have fast hands, but I'm not going to be moving around and running from anyone.
Good right hook.
So that
by
means
Devon Alexander.
Good fight. And Bradley's closing the gap.
And there's an all-out assault from Bradley. And one thing you saw there is when he thinks he has an advantage, Timothy Bradley will wing punches and let them fly from all angles. And a lot of people think Alexander may find an opportunity to counter up the middle.
Well, as long as he doesn't walk into something, though, by being the aggressor, close rounds, and we could have a lot of them, could go to him.
And he may be thinking exactly that in setting up these assaults. Bradley is a thinking man's fighter.
Bell.
A smile on Bradley's face as he returns to his corner at the end of round 1.
Always stay smart, very focused, just like that. He's just touching your gloves. Okay, you're gonna break them down little by little, okay? We're gonna keep this pace, okay? We're gonna keep it right here, coach. We're gonna keep this pace, baby, okay? Just be very careful and very smart. Let's try to take away his jab. Okay, little by little, he's just tapping the fucking jab. Right, after that, then you start digging the body. But that's the way I want you. I don't want you to be rushing in, okay? Good job, baby.
Your range, you got to get off and slide around him and slide over. All right? As soon as he get off in your range, you got to fire. All right? You want to blow your nose? Yeah. All right? And that stick in the...
That's what's probably the most exciting exchange probably in the first round. But if you notice very closely here, outside of 2 little cloud of clubbing punches in close, nothing really too much was effective, but it created a lot of excitement because of the fact that no one had been able to make any contact probably during the first round.
By my lights, it mostly showed how willing Bradley often is to split his hands and let his punches fly. And again, I wonder if Alexander's going to be able to take advantage of that. Round 2 begins with Alexander feinting. Bradley firing with both hands. Another good right hook by Devon Alexander. He's gotten it past Bradley's left a couple times.
Well, Alexander's hand speed and rhythm really catches attention of the crowd. So he could win rounds without even landing the blow sometimes, just because of the beauty that he has when he's moving.
But most of what he's throwing at this point are arm punches.
Yes, he hasn't really landed nothing effective. He just looks good. Bradley very patiently picking his punches, coming in, biding his time, and crowding Devon Alexander. He gets very close before he punches at Alexander.
Alexander got in a couple of body shots in return.
All right, let him go. Step back, no punch.
Bradley's fight a very smart fight. He's not throwing punches from a long distance where Alexander could count him. He waits till he gets very close before he punches.
Alexander seems at this moment to be focusing on Bradley's body, something he promised but failed to do against Kotelnik.
He's going backwards behind almost every punch so far.
Okay, watch the head, watch the head.
And what does that tell you, Larry?
That's the kind of fighter he is, generally. And given the stakes, if he wants to make a big statement, he's going to have to step out of that pocket.
Step back, step back.
But he's been very successful with it up until now.
Off his head, no wrestling, no wrestling. Come on, we're going to keep it clean.
First round was nearly even in CompuBox numbers. And because of the way the styles conspire, I'm just going to guess that we'll have several rounds here that will be close and difficult to score. Bradley momentarily off balance. Alexander able to land the combination. Backs up again. Bradley goes forward, hammering him with the right hand.
Step back, step back, step back.
Body shot by Bradley.
High break. Break. Step back, step back. Down.
If you missed it, catch a replay of Real Sports. It's an all-NFL show, which includes a look at Troy Aikman, the Hall of Fame quarterback, now preparing to call next week's Super Bowl. March 12, it's the Runnin' Rebels of UNLV, an HBO Sports documentary about the University of Nevada, Las Vegas basketball team. Their heyday was the late 80s and early 90s, when players and coaches grabbed headlines on and off the court.
Left hand, he running right into the left hand. You stepping back, but you ain't firing. You know what I'm saying? You touch, he step up, pow, fight the left hand, right hook. All right?
It wouldn't be a visit to Detroit without a look at the Motor City Cobra, the hitman, Thomas Hearns. Your most famous pupil ever, Emmanuel Stewart.
And my favorite fighter that I worked with, of all of them.
You had a near father-son relationship.
Yes, but he was just exciting. I mean, the excitement that he created with me just coming in the ring with him. No other fighters ever did that.
And seldom has a fighter been more beloved by a city than Hearns was by the entire city of Detroit, which is saying a lot when you consider this is the city that produced Walker Smith, who later became Sugar Ray Robinson, and Joe Louis Barrow, who later became Joe Louis. CompuBox numbers in the second round: Alexander 11 of 57, Bradley is 7 of 41. But Bradley appears the aggressor, even though Alexander landed more punches. Again, hard to score.
Okay, stop. Step back, step back.
Hard left hook by Bradley. Knocks Alexander back into the ropes. Devon Alexander grabs and holds for a moment. Now backs away.
Bradley is putting lots of pressure, and as I said earlier, he's not punching from a long distance. He waits till he gets right in the chest of Devon Alexander before he punches.
He is a pit bull.
Yes, he's cut the distance down.
He fights and fights and fights.
Styles may make fights, but fighters and what they're made of win fights.
Get him up.
Hands up, stay low, baby. Dig the base, go ringside.
Off his head, point break.
There was a media poll prior to the fight in which 31 experts picked Bradley to only 15 who picked Alexander. And the vast majority of those who picked Bradley cited his confidence, his mental preparation.
Extremely strong individual. I mean, not dependent on the coach or anyone, just a strong person himself. And right now, he's actually enforcing his will right now on Alexander.
Right. I think the difference in the fight at this moment is Bradley's self-belief. He's willing to risk more.
Yes, and he's winning the early rounds, or most of them so far, which was not expected.
Great wrestling. Come on, punch out of there, guys. Let him go. High break. Step back. Step back. No punching. Off his head. Let him go. Let him go, Devon. Step back. Step back. Step back. Step back.
And now Alexander has been hit in the eye, and I believe he thinks he's been thumbed, and Frank Garza is going to give him a momentary break here. I'm not sure that Garza even saw what went on.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know why he gets a break. I mean,
I'm not sure either.
He was hit by a punch. Why is there a break in the action?
And there's a cut on his right eyelid, and blood is beginning to seep from the cut. And that's a bad place for a cut, Emmanuel.
And it was a punch, not a head.
I have no idea what Garza was doing with that. But I'm told that the replay may show us more.
Break. Step back. Don't use that. Don't put your fire on. Bell.
All right, so before we criticize the referee, we'll take a look at a replay and try to figure out exactly what happened to Devon Alexander's arm.
Ref, I told you about the fucking head.
Kevin Cunningham is claiming it was a butt, and he's screaming at Garza about it.
Caused by a blow? Oh, my God. Oh, this motherfucking ref full of shit, man. Don't worry about it. We good. We good. We won't go to work.
Alexander's cut man is Jim Strickland. He's really good, and he's got work in front of him.
We good. We whooping his ass anyway. Don't even worry about the cut.
Here we will see where the cut came from. And it was a result of a headbutt. There it is right there.
All right. I thought it was a thumb. It turns out to be a headbutt, and that's why Kevin Cunningham was so distressed.
And I thought it was the punch right before his head collided, but that looked like it was beneath the eyes.
All right, round 4 begins, and as the mysteries begin to unravel related to the blood above Alexander's eye, Harold, how'd you score the first 3?
Okay, Jim, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Timothy Bradley. Jim, I've come to realize one thing in this fight. Alexander's the boxer, Bradley's the puncher, and that's all there is to it. Devon Alexander, I thought, won round 2 with nice right jabs. Timothy Bradley didn't do a heck of a lot. Rounds 1 and 3, on the other hand, Bradley got inside, landed the harder, cleaner blows without question. I think he's doing damage. I think Devon's just throwing out one right jab and grabbing. Bradley, on the other hand, landed real nice shots. 2-1, Timothy Bradley.
Well, Alexander is daring to be good. Bradley is daring to try to be great.
Bradley is closing the gap.
Okay, my break.
Crowding him, putting a lot of pressure physically and mentally on Alexander that I don't know he's going to hold up with going down the stretch.
But, Emmanuel, you heard Harold Letterman characterize Bradley as, quote, the puncher in the fight. He is not seen as having extraordinary punching power, not even exceptional punching power. It's hard to be the puncher when you don't have big power.
Well, as I said earlier in the meeting with yesterday, look at the caliber guys he's been fighting with. He's been fighting guys that no one will knock out too much. Both of them are fairly decent punchers. I think between the two of them, Bradley's a better puncher than Alexander.
Because he has quicker hands,
yes,
Alexander might conceivably sneak a punch in that Bradley doesn't see, and that would give him the power.
But he doesn't commit to his punches the way Bradley does.
Bradley crowds, he gets right on top of you. When he punches, he
good right hook by
pushes his shoulders forward with the punch where he has much more effect.
Okay, no punching. Step back.
A few days ago, Tommy Hearns showed Tim Bradley how to throw a right hand, Emmanuel, and Bradley was shocked at the amount of body torque that Hearns now retired, of course, and years removed from the ring, that Hearns put into the right hand. Bradley said, I never dreamed that I should turn my body that much.
Well, the way a lot of the fighters are training now, if you look at this pad work, as we call it, there's never any commitment on the punches. The trainers are meeting the punches halfway, slapping them back, and the fighters are therefore not punching with full power. And that's what when they throw their punches in the ring a lot often, they don't punch with the full power. They just throw it halfway without full commitment.
That's where power comes from, pivoting the body, whether it's a golf swing, whether it's a baseball swing, the ability, the commitment to what you're doing.
Alexander landed a right hook. Bradley bashed him back into the ropes with a straight right hand. That standard physical equation by which a conventional fighter can hit the southpaw right up the middle with the right hand is working for Bradley now.
Yes, it is. And it's not a straight right hand. More of a clubbing right hand. But he gets right on top of you before he throws it.
This was a little better round, champ. Okay, now you're more a little technical. That's what I want. Okay? You can't just rush in there, opening up, champ. You gotta shoot that straight right to the chest. You're missing it because you're going too high. Okay? Come on, set it up.
Hey, you're gonna get tired. He's getting a little tired.
Some grease, coach.
Okay, you gotta go to that body, all right?
Okay.
You gotta
You
go right
have to
to
go
that
to the
body.
body, champ. From the beginning, from the beginning of the round, okay? And you have to keep, you gotta keep moving, side to side, okay? Keep your fucking hands up.
Okay? Set the jab up.
Okay?
Then go to the body.
Gotta be smart. You gotta let go of those punches. He's just trying to tie you up.
Okay. Good job.
Okay?
All right. Let's go.
As long as you stay low, you're in good shape. Stay low and come up punching.
Stick behind your technique, baby.
Joel Diaz, Tim Bradley's trainer, is the older brother of Julio Diaz and Antonio Diaz, both of whom were more successful fighters in the ring than Joel. Joel's career was shortened by a detached retina, but he has become a very successful trainer with Bradley.
He has a fantastic fighter he's working with, too.
CompuBox numbers through 4 rounds show Alexander landing more punches.
Well, you know, Alexander is maybe landing the punches, but his punches are more like a flicker. His gloves don't seem to be as close and doesn't have as much of a power as Bradley. Bradley has a lot more body weight and power on his shots.
No, Alexander's punches are more like the punches with which he dominated amateur fights.
Yes, but this is a professional fight now. 12 rounds, it makes a difference. But I tell you what, I'm looking in the eyes of both guys. I see 2 extremely determined young fighters.
I agree.
I mean, the determination is phenomenal.
And I think Alexander mentally looks way more into the fight now than was the case in the first couple of rounds. Perhaps the accidental butt and the cut over the eye have brought a new urgency to Alexander.
I'm watching also Alexander is really focusing on shooting a straight left now, and he seemed to be probably effective with it now.
And trying to turn that left over for power. Almost caught Bradley on the back of the head there with the right hand. Tim will duck from time to time.
Okay, my break.
Does a fighter like Alexander, then you'll realize that he's been a little behind and he's got to step it up?
Yeah, it looks like it's just opposite what I thought it would be. I thought Bradley would be stepping it up at this stage, but it looks like it's the other way around. But that's what makes good fights, when you have good fighters who, once they feel that they may lose, they come back.
This is the first round in which the sheer ring generalship situation seems to be favoring Alexander. This is the first round in which Alexander looks more comfortable in determining where he wants to be and what he wants to do in the ring.
Well, this is why this fight was anticipated to be a good fight and have these type of ebb and flows, because of the mental, of the ability of the style of the fighters and the way they think.
But will we get combustion? Or is it just going to be one guy going at a time?
Okay. Step back. All the way back.
Good jab right on the eye by Bradley. Open up that cut a little bit more.
Let it go. Step back.
At some point between rounds here, we're going to show you an extraordinary sight. There are very few boxing promoters anywhere in the world who will hide from the spotlight. But Gary Shaw is a nervous Nelly. He can't watch Alexander up close at the ring. Excuse me, Bradley. He can't. Alexander's promoted by Don King, who, of course, is the opposite. Gary Shaw has to watch in the dressing room. And now, Timothy Bradley's pregnant wife, Monica, has joined him there. So you're looking at the wife and the promoter of Timothy Bradley watching the fight on a monitor in a dressing room because their nerves won't allow them to come to ringside.
Usually cameras and microphones to promoters are like air to breathe for the rest of us.
Now here's how confusing CompuBox numbers can be. I told you I thought round 5 was the round in which Alexander looked most in command in the ring. Bradley landed more punches. 18 out of 42 by CompuBox count, 15 of 61 for Alexander. But of course, with many judges, it's more about the punches you throw than about the punches you land.
Step back, step back.
And it's the sort of fight, Jim, that can look different from different sides of the ring.
Definitely.
On which fighters are landing anything effective or not.
Okay, step back, step back, step back.
Good straight right hand up the pipe again by Bradley. Alexander seemed to have tightened that defense up in the last round.
Off his head. Stop. Off his head.
When some ringside experts were disappointed with Alexander's performance last August against Kotelnik, one reason was that by CompuBox count, he landed only 18% of his punches. That's a low number. Tonight, he's landing 18% of his jabs. Normally, in successful performances, his numbers would be slightly higher than that. But he's fighting a better fighter than has been the case with most previous opponents, that's for sure.
Well, they're both fighting the best fighter we think that they've ever faced. So we'll see what truth comes out of that.
This fight has turned out to be exactly what was anticipated. The fight is going back and forth. Every time one guy gets hit, he comes right back. No one has been able to establish a real comfortable lead in this fight so far. And I think it's going to stay like this most of the way all the way down the line because of the skill, the speed, and the mindset of the two fighters.
Step back.
Hard right hand by Bradley, best shot of the fight. Clean shot, visible to everybody in the audience, right on the chin.
But it didn't seem to hurt Alexander.
Nope.
I mean, it's a great shot, power shot, but he never staggered his legs, you know, anything.
Well, we mentioned not a big puncher.
And I think both of them have pretty good chins, too.
The truth of the matter is, Marcos Maidana hits you with that shot, that's a whole different thing. You know, that's what makes Maidana what he is.
Well, he would hit you with 2 or 3 right after it.
But Maidana, of course, doesn't have the quickness or athletic ability of either of these two guys. Or of the man who beat him, Amir Khan.
Amir Khan.
Yeah.
Well, but these are 2 young fighters, and they're at supreme condition and supremely trying their best. Whether we get some dramatic liftoff or not, they are doing their best.
Bradley stuck one last resolute jab to punctuate the round. It's a close fight.
Change your direction, all right? If you're going that way and he touch you, change your direction and get your jab working up and down, man. All right? You everything.
I get what, folks. Hey, you're doing the same thing over and over. Let's switch it up on them a little bit, okay? You're doing good, but you know what? You are doing the right thing. But the thing is, rounds are going so fast, but you need to work a little more.
Okay. Hey, don't do that body again, baby. He's feeling it. All right?
Let you come here and go.
That body.
Stay tight.
And when you lunge in this, man.
Here we see a headbutt come in first, and then you see one of the best right hand of the fight, in fact. Tremendous blow, landed good, but seemed like Alexander had his bearings.
Big round for Bradley numerically, though. CompuBox found Bradley in the 6th round landing 21 of 52. 10 of 49 for Alexander.
Round
The 21
7.
punches landed for Bradley.
Bucks.
The highest number in the fight for either fighter so far. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 58, 56, 4 rounds to 2, Timothy Bradley. Jim, I thought except in rounds 2 and 5, Timothy Bradley's been outworking Devon Alexander. In rounds 2 and 5, Alexander clearly outworked Timothy Bradley, as I saw. He outboxed him. You know, Tim, one thing one thing that surprises me, I've seen Timothy Bradley a million times, and he always scores with overhand rights and overhand lefts, and he hasn't thrown anything over the top in this fight that I've seen. I mean, the guy really does all his damage coming over the top, and he hasn't done it. It's really surprising. And yet, even still, he's winning the fight. Alexander grabbing a lot. Garza lets him get away with it. 4-2, Bradley.
I have the same score. Of course, there's a problem in Bradley reaching Alexander because he is clever and quick and sees most things coming.
Another flurry for Bradley. Didn't land big, but throws 4 or 5 punches in combination. Eye-catching for the judges. Body shot for Alexander. You heard Alexander's outspoken trainer, Kevin Cunningham, saying, among other things, get your jab going up and down. I think that's another way of saying he wants more body shots.
It's a tough fight to score right here. There's not that many really clean blows that's landed. Most of the blows are slipped or partially blocked. But just the speed and the accuracy of both of the guys here and the continuous back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. Score could be the same score could be for the other opponent.
Good left hand.
On a different scorecard, and it would not surprise me.
Yeah, and close to 1 minute removed from what I thought was Bradley's last round. Alexander seems to be back to outboxing him the first minute of this round. Lands another left hand.
His hands are so fast, it almost looks like he's coming back with the punch before it lands.
Step back, step back.
The winner of the fight is expected potentially to fight Amir Khan in the summer. If there's no rematch of this fight, which is possible, or if neither of the two fighters here is invited to fight Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao, for which they have contract allowances.
Well, I tell you what, Amir Khan or any junior welter in the world is going to have a problem with these two fighters because of the speed, the spiel, and the determination that they both have.
Yep.
Okay, my break.
Although personally, Emmanuel, I suspect Khan may have a small hand speed advantage over either. But it may not be enough to give him the edge necessary to win.
Check. When you keep your hands up like that and you go, hey, you going after him, you gotta work a little more. Okay.
Stay a little busy.
That defense is good, champ, but you gotta let go of your hands a little more. Okay? And then don't lean on them. Get your distance so you can work the body. Left hook here and here. You gotta use that double left hook. You're not using it. Let's go.
Hey, don't look.
They've landed an equal number of punches. Small statistical anomaly.
You need another rest?
Jimmy Strickland working that cut over the right eye of Devon Alexander. Remember, the cut came from an accidental headbutt in the 4th round. Many Alexander family members here, as you saw in the pre-fight feature. He's one of 13 Alexander children from the Hyde Park section of St. Louis. Sisters Angela, Rita, Robin, Nishan, brother Jerome, all there at ringside.
They've been energetic, but so far they haven't fought as big as they've dreamed.
Well, they certainly outnumber the Bradley rooters at ringside because, as you know, Bradley's promoter and his pregnant wife are both in the dressing room, watching from a distance.
I was talking about the fighters.
Imagine that.
Okay, my break. Step back. Step back.
Strickland's been pretty successful in controlling the cut.
Jim Strickland, one of the best cut guys in boxing. Phenomenal man.
Great person.
Yeah. I mean, anything in the Chicago area and all that he's handling, but also he's worked with a lot of other top fighters.
Another hard right hand for Bradley. And a very confident look on the face of Tim Bradley here in round 8. Whether justifiable or not, he may feel that he's in command of the fight.
Well, when you're moving forward all the time, you may think that. Alexander appears to want to step it up a little, but he doesn't appear to want to really put something out, really to take any risk.
Why you see the same thing? As soon as Bradley lands something, Alexander comes right back again. No one can really take control over this fight still.
Okay, watch it. Look, you guys. Accidental headbutt. Okay.
Second accidental headbutt of the bout.
Come on.
And now another accidental headbutt. That's the third of the fight. And that one drew some more blood from Alexander's eye. Good right hook by Alexander.
Now Alexander is getting into it. Maybe we have liftoff.
Putting a little bit more Dijon mustard on those punches. Hard right hand by Bradley. As once again, he fights back.
Tough fight to score.
Yep. Seesaw rounds. 8 rounds in the book between Devon Alexander the Great and Timothy Desert Storm Bradley. Fighting for world supremacy at 140 pounds.
Cut up here? Huh? There's no cut, champ. There is no cut. Don't worry about the cut. Okay? Got a little swelling here. Okay?
Stay busy.
He got the cut, my man. He good. Best cut man in the business. We fine. Can I get my sponge so I can take care of my fighter? I bet. Are y'all gonna give me some more time to work? Cause you stopping me from working.
Okay, thank you.
Boxing good, baby.
Here we see another one of the headbutts, and if you look really close, it's not, I think, intentional by neither of the fighters. It's just the styles of the two fighters. The way they fight causes a lot of these butts.
Bucks. When you see a fighter like Bradley, who has a significant history of headbutts, Evander Holyfield's another, it's easy for opponents to say, oh, he's trying to butt me or he butts me intentionally. The fact of the matter is, it's just not his greatest concern whether he hits you with his head. His greatest concern is he's going to try to hit you with his fists. And he isn't exactly trying to keep his head out of it if it happens to go that way.
Well, you see, Bradley's a small guy, and most of the fights that he fights, his opponents are usually taller than he is.
As was the case for Holyfield, of course, in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, so you have to bend down and just squat before you punch.
Although the shorter Mike Tyson thought Holyfield was trying to butt him. Good combination by Bradley. His punches seem to have lost a tiny bit of steam.
Off his head. Don't do
Alexander's
that. Don't do
appeared to be getting more intense in the last round.
Unhook his head.
There's a small mouse now outside the left eye of Bradley. And he landed the first uppercut I've seen in the fight. Devon Alexander's uppercuts are weapons.
Step back.
Particularly the right uppercut. He hasn't landed that punch. Which is interesting because Bradley keeps coming at him. You would think that Alexander would be able to find an uppercut in there.
Very difficult for anyone to find a punch and land it consistent in this fight here.
Right hand for Bradley. Swings the right hand 2 more times. Winging roundhouse outside shot. That's fine. He lands it.
Watch your shoulders.
right now, Bradley is walking Alexander down, crowding him, getting close, and the most effective punch he's got is a short club and right hand that he lands very effective when he gets close. Alexander's boxing, but seems like his punches really are not that effective as far as power. And as for Bradley's lost all respect for him, and he's just cut the ring down more and more and more. And I think as the fight goes on, it's going to be really, really close going down the stretch.
And as we told you before the fight, the consensus expectation was for 12 intense rounds. Neither fighter has ever scored a knockout past the 9th round.
Well, neither one can break a grape, as they say. They're not looking to.
Off his head, no punch. Turn around.
Every time I think Alexander's going to make it an even fight, Bradley comes on.
Get out. Yeah, let your water out. Now take a deep breath. Let it out. Take a deep breath. Let it out. Now, you see when you let that left uppercut go, you hit him right on the money. You gotta let that left hand go and you gotta turn it under. And put the hook with it.
And you're opening up, Jack. Here, coach.
Open up. Straight from the chin. Throw that right hand straight from the chin. You did it once. You got it. Okay.
Go. I need some more.
Copy box numbers in the 9th round. Alexander 12 of 44. Bradley 13 of 55. How much closer can it get?
Round 10.
Alexander has 128 to 125 punches landed advantage through 9, meaning no advantage at all. They've landed just about the same number of punches. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. 87, 84, 6 rounds to 3. Timothy Bradley. Jim, I thought in rounds 2, 5, and 7, Devon Alexander boxed nicely, won those rounds, but otherwise, I like Timothy Bradley, and I'll tell you, I think he does the most damage when he turns that right hand over. If you watch, he will turn it over. He doesn't really come all the way over the top like a Tim Witherspoon, but he turns it over just enough to get that, that extra zest into it, and he really does damage with it, to be honest with you. Devon Alexander making a terrible mistake by going to the left all night long, just the way Timothy Bradley wants him to, so Bradley can land the right hand. 6-3, Bradley.
I have it 5-4.
And their heads come together yet again. Now, this is commonly the case with a southpaw against a conventional fighter, but this is different.
And now there's blood from above Bradley's eye.
Left eye. And now Garza's going to escort Alexander to the corner, where a ring doctor will take a look at his right eye.
Just relax.
This was the worst case scenario of all the scenarios we imagined.
Yep.
Go take a look at
She hurt, man.
Open up your eyes. Can you look out of your eyes? Both eyes. Open up both eyes. Look at me. Open up both eyes. If you don't open up both eyes, the evening's over.
No.
Fuck, you're burning. Okay, look at me. Look at me. Open up your eyes. Okay. You gotta open up your eyes.
Doc.
Good. Come on. If you can't open up your eyes, the evening's over. Okay. Okay. You can't okay. That's right.
Accidental headbutt. We're going to the technical rule. We're going to the scorecard. Okay? All right.
Worst case scenario for a fight of this stature, it's going to become a technical decision.
Accidental headbutt, we're going to the scorecard. Go to the corner.
I'm not sure what got into Alexander's eye because it looked like he could open them both fully.
We need to score
Which isn't to suggest that he was trying to get out of the fight. He was obviously feeling something.
Do you have any idea what's going on there,
I have
Manuel?
no idea because he was acting like he was stinging or something, which is, I'm totally
Accidental
confused.
headbutt, we're going to the scorecards.
And this is one fight, regardless of what corner you're in, you're going to be a nervous wreck going to the scorecards.
Whatever the scorecards say, it's not likely that the rematch clause will be exercised.
Harold, do you have something to add to this?
Yeah, Jim, absolutely. You know me, always got something to add. It's gone beyond 4 rounds. If the fight goes beyond 4 rounds, under the rules of the ABC, you go to the scorecards on an accidental headbutt. But you have to score on a partial round. In other words, round 10, even though it only went a couple of seconds, has to be scored. So you're going to get a score for 10 rounds, not 9. I've got it 7 rounds to 3, 97-93. Timothy Bradley.
Meaning you're scoring the 10th for Bradley.
Scoring the 10th round for Bradley, exactly. So, you know, you got to throw that in there. Unfortunately, it's only a couple of seconds, the 10th round, but you got to score the 10th round as well. They go to the scorecards to determine a winner.
But what's confusing to me is the butt was on the other eye of Alexander, his left eye, not the one that was cut. And that's what makes I'm so confused.
But that's the referee's call. The referee determined that the cut that caused the fight to be stopped was caused by an accidental headbutt.
Look at that. The butt was on the left side of Alexander's head.
That's what I'm saying.
No contact was made with his right eye.
That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, but maybe Frank Garza ruled early on in the fight that a cut was caused on his right eye by an accidental headbutt.
Well, he did. Yes.
Then we go to the scorecards.
Well, it could have been
in other words, if the initial cut is caused by a headbutt, and that cut is made worse by legal blows, you go to the scorecards.
The point we're making, Harold, is
not the cut.
What was it that debilitated Alexander so much that he couldn't keep fighting when the headbutt, which stopped the fight there, happened on the other side of his head? He seemed to be complaining about the right eye. Am I correct?
That's what I'm confused with.
How is that an incident?
All right, whatever has happened in the technical decision area, Michael Buffer's ready to tell us. So let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the result.
Ladies and gentlemen, the bout has been called to a halt. Referee Frank Garza, acting on the advice of a physician at ringside, calls a halt to the bout because Alexander is unable to continue due to a wound suffered by accidental headbutt. Under the rules, we go to the scorecards, including the 10th round, which was not completed. The scores are as follows for this unification world title match. Dwayne Ford, 97-93. Tom Miller, 96-95. Omar Mintoon, 98-93. All to the winner by unanimous technical decision. And now the unified champion, Timothy Desert Storm Bradley.
Well, as they love to say, someone's O had to go, and now it's Alexander's O, which is gone. Bradley remains unbeaten. And Larry Merchant, in pointing out that he didn't think the rematch clause would be exercised, is suggesting that this will be seen as a disappointing fight, and certainly the end of it is very disappointing.
Very, very disappointing. It was one of the few fights that I never even could speak too much during the course of the fight because the fight was going back and forth, back and forth. And as soon as you start saying something complimentary about one fighter, it would reverse the other way.
So you have a guy who's now become the champion of the division and the clear champion of the division, but now 5 different opponents have been cut by headbutts, including this one. Yep, and we're looking at the slow-mo of the headbutt, and once again it shows you very clearly that the contact took place on the left side of Alexander's head, away from the previous cut, about which he seemed to be complaining when he spoke to the doctor seconds later and made clear that he wasn't terribly interested in continuing the combat, or at least so it seemed to us. And that's all going to be a mystery which we hope will be cleared up in post-fight interview fashion, and let's go to Larry Merchant for that.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Tim. Did you think the fight would be ended by the multiple headbutts that were happening toward the end?
First of all, Larry, I want to give all glory and praises and thanks to the Lord, Savior, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for just allowing me to, enter this ring and exit the ring safely. Devon Alexander was a great fighter. He came to fight today. I didn't think the fight was going to be stopped this way. Both of us was coming in, at the same time, the softball stance, and the right-handers, we lined up right, when we shoot our punches and everything. It was going back and forth, man. It was going back and forth in there.
Were you conscious of this coming into the fight because it had happened in previous fights a number of times?
Well, I was a little conscious of it. You know, I knew, you know, sooner or later it would happen. You know, but you know, I mean, Devon Alexander's a great fighter. I mean, I tip my hat off to him. He's a tough warrior, and you know, he's gonna be a world champion again sometime.
Let's take a look in a replay of what happened at the end, and you describe it and tell us whether you thought it was.
And he coming in, and I'm coming in with a shot as well, same time. That's exactly what happened. He's coming in, I'm coming in. He's coming in with a big shot, and I'm coming in with a big shot.
Did you have something on you that might have gotten into his eye because he seemed to have some stinging sensation in the eye that he didn't go on? Or do you think that he just didn't want to go on with the fight?
I have no idea. I mean, you got to ask him that. You got to ask him that. I'm not sure what it was and why he stopped it, why he wanted to stop the fight. I'm not sure.
Did this fight go about the way you expected, that you had to be the aggressor and take him out of the fight if you could, or take him out of his fight?
Absolutely. If you give Devon Alexander time to think in there, he'll box you to pieces. You know, he'll box you apart. You know, I pretty much just stepped to him the whole time. I was real confident, knocking down his shots, you know, coming in, taking his best punches, and just, you know, going to the body hard occasionally and forcing the action.
Quick look at the future. Are you willing to fight a Khan or a Maidana?
Either or. Khan right now will probably be the number one on my list right now. But you know what? I want to get the fight fans. I want the fight fans to pick who I'll fight next, and I'll fight him.
And you're willing to build on what you did tonight toward a major fight down the road with Pacquiao?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's where you know, the key is right there. That's the gate key right there to Manny Pacquiao.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you very much.
Congratulations again, Tim.
Appreciate it.
All right, Kevin. All right, Devon. Tough end to a tough fight. Did something get into your eye at the end?
Yeah, I couldn't see for real. You know, it was burning. You know, I never got headbutt like that. He got a big head, so I couldn't see it all.
You said
I ain't never got no cut like that.
You said it was burning?
Yeah. I mean, he came in full force, you know, so I couldn't see it. So the doctor said it was in a bad position, so, hey, he stopped the fight.
Now,
I'm upset. But it's okay. It's okay.
Well, you knew his history. You knew that you're a southpaw. You're a boxer. He's going to be more aggressive as a conventional fighter, in that there was this danger. Yeah. Did you work for this? Did you look out for this?
Yeah, but you know, you can't work on the head, but we ain't work on the headbutt in the camp. You know, we worked to box his head off. You know, with skills. That's what we did. But he kept headbutting me, so you know, the referee stopped the fight.
He just said that the key for him was keeping you so busy that you couldn't use all of your skills. What is your take on what happened until the end?
He didn't stop me from using my skills. You know, I was winning the fight up until now, I think, you know, and, you know, he couldn't handle my power for real. I thought I was hurting him too.
But he was at the end. The judges had him clearly winning the fight.
Well, yeah, that's because he kept rushing in with his head. I kept getting headbutted. You know, I can count 6 headbutts that he butted me with. So, you know, no excuses, you know.
All right, are you willing to fight Khan or Maidana if they should be offered to you next?
It don't matter who I fight. You know, it's a rematch clause. I got to fight Timothy Bradley next, so, you know, we'll get that on.
Thank you very much, Devon. Jim?
All right, Larry Merchant, let's take a look at final CompuBox numbers in the fight. Very, very close, reminiscent of Shane Mosley and Miguel Cotto in Madison Square Garden a few years ago when the numbers were almost identical at the end of the fight. If there's a difference here, it is that Bradley threw fewer and therefore landed at a slightly higher percentage. Power punches. Alexander landed more power punches and threw more power punches. But it appeared that if either fighter's power punches had a significant effect, it was Bradley. His right hands seemed to stop Alexander in his tracks from time to time. Alexander never really seemed to stun Tim Bradley, though he was landing punches. Not an artistic masterpiece. What does it do for these two fighters?
Well, Bradley proved that he's an exceptional fighter. You know, he doesn't look that impressive. Just as he was in amateurs. All of the flashes with Devon Alexander, the movements, but still he's very effective. He crowds guys. He takes advantage of his shortness and makes it his advantage because he gets right inside. And the most important punch of the fight was that little short right hand. and he was, but his footwork was good too. I was watching how he was cutting the ring off. It's something that you don't notice as much, but he was very fast with his feet, keeping him cut off, short punches, crowding him, using his shoulders, using his head, whatever he had to. Fought a very good fight for a short fighter.
Even his most ardent supporters will acknowledge, not great at anything, just good at everything, good all-around athlete. Larry, you said at the end that you did not feel that the rematch clause would be exercised. Is that a wish or an expert comment?
Somewhere in between, like somewhere in between a bow and a wow, as that fight was. There's no reason that we have to see this fight again at this time. Maybe 2 fights, 5 fights, 8 fights down the road.
So what do you want to see?
Well, I think that I liked Bradley a lot. He's one of those fighters who you can't pick out exactly what makes him good, except he is as good as he shows us. And I like the fact that he says he wants to fight a Khan or a Maidana because he knows that the talk of either of these guys at this stage of fighting Pacquiao is not realistic. They just want to get in to Manny Pacquiao's movie, as everybody does within any divisions because of all the money he generates. And speaking of movie, you know, we've talked about, you know, looking for that next great American fighter with Mayweather on the sidelines for who knows how long. And we've seen a movie now called The Fighter, wonderful movie that got a bunch of Academy Award nominations. There's a new series out on cable television, FX, Lights Out, about fighting. There is a yearning, there is a void that people feel that we have to fill for boxing. This didn't fill it exactly tonight, but at least for one fighter, it may be a step out of that void.
He said he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. He'd probably have to go to 147 pounds for that. That's just the way it works in this business. All right, before we leave the air tonight, let's take a look at upcoming boxing shows here on HBO. Two of the most explosive little men in the sport walk into the ring on February 19th. Mexico's Fernando Montiel puts his bantamweight titles on the line against Filipino Nonito Donaire in the biggest fight of Donaire's career. Also that night, the rematch of the controversial first fight between Mike Jones and Jesus Soto Karass. March 5, Boxing After Dark showcases one of 2010's hottest prospects, Mexican sensation Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Down goes Valdemir on a rocket left hook, and he knocked Valdemir out.
The 20-year-old tries to maintain his undefeated record against Matthew Hatton, Ricky Hatton's younger brother. World Championship Boxing is back on March 12th with the return of middleweight king Sergio Martinez.
Good left hand, and down goes Williams. A sensational, shocking, one-punch knockout.
Of his resounding knockout win over Paul Williams, Martinez now takes on undefeated 154-pound titleist Sergey Zinzirak. On March 26th, arguably the fastest hands in boxing are back. Cuban amateur standout Yuri Orcas Gamboa, who's known nothing but victory in the professional ranks, defends his featherweight titles against Jorge Solis of Mexico. It's an exciting February and March on HBO's World Championship Boxing and Boxing After Dark. If you missed any part of tonight's telecast, you can catch it in its entirety at the dates and times listed below. For more boxing updates, there are now lots of places to go. HBO's Facebook page, HBO's Twitter feed, and as always, HBO.com. Go to our website now to sign up for the official HBO Boxing newsletter. Next on HBO, it's Repo Men. So now for our entire crew, I'm Jim Lampley saying so long from the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.